I just don't know. It just wasn't for me. The best part about this book was the epilogue. Well, what do you expect from this cover? There's a difference between banter and just full-on bullying each other. I mean, I didn't really enjoy this book that much. Okay, I'm so sorry that Marshall, my dog, is going to whine. He just has to be in his kennel for now because him and Boots run around and play and they're loud and I can't have both of them out right now because it just needs to be quiet. So I'm finally doing my September wrap up. I've been putting this off for so long, don't know why. I think it's because mostly I've been feeling like crap. I haven't really wanted to talk to the camera, honestly, so that's why. But I feel much better now and I'm finally ready now on October 14th to get started doing my September wrap up, even though I'm super late, but it is fine. Okay, so before I begin, I believe my TBR last month was books that follow my name or something, and I don't really fully remember all of them. I'm gonna put a picture of all the books that were in my August TBR right here, and we're gonna go through them. And I know that I read most of them, but there was one I DNF'd, and there was one that I read on a whim. So yeah. I want to start off with my DNF. This is actually my first DNF I've ever talked publicly about. Technically, I have DNF books before, but since I've started booktube, I've never had a DNF. So my DNF was All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I got maybe 80 pages in this book, which I guess you could say that's probably not enough to do a DNF. I don't know, I feel like you can DNF whenever you want. I honestly just wasn't feeling this book. It's just about these two characters, Theodore Finch and Violet Markey. They meet on the ledge of the bell tower at school, and obviously one of them is gonna jump or something. That's kind of what it insinuates in the book. And I just really didn't like Finch. I really didn't like him. I didn't really like his character, and I was really trying to give him a chance, but I just it was kind of cringy a little bit. He was very cringy. I don't see the characters becoming romantically involved. I don't know if they do, but I couldn't see that with these characters. They were just so different. And Theodore, he had this thing about him where he would be like, okay, one day I'm gonna be the cool Finch, and then the next day I'm gonna be the loner Finch, and then the other day I'm gonna be this. He was just I'm sure that was purposeful in the book. Well, yeah, it is purposeful in the book that he's like that, but I just didn't really like that about him, and I just didn't feel very intrigued with this book at all. I kind of just got bored and I found myself wanting to read something else. So I figured it was just okay to DNF it. I kind of was hesitant to DNF it. I was like, well, maybe I should just keep continuing and push forward, but I just didn't want to. So this is my first DNF this year. I'm so sorry if you guys like this book, but honestly, I'm probably not gonna finish it. I think I'm just gonna watch the movie, the Netflix film, honestly, and I probably will donate this book. I just don't know. It just wasn't for me. Okay, so now into the books that I did read this month. So these books are completely out of order. I don't know what order I read these in, but I want to start off with A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I think I rated this a 3 stars. I need to check my Fable app, but 3 stars sounds accurate. So I read this in Reading Sad Books for a Week video. So this was just about I forget his name. Is it Rune? Yeah, Rune and Poppy. They were super close as children. They grew up together. They were best friends and they fell in love. So Rune moves away for 2 years and then suddenly Poppy stops talking to him. They promised to kind of try long distance and stuff, but she literally stopped talking to him and he has no idea why. So when he comes back, he finds out why. I was expecting the author to have us wait until the end of the book to figure out why she stopped talking to him, but it literally happened I don't think it was even halfway through that we found out why she stopped talking to him. And then at that point, I was like, okay, what is the rest of the book gonna be about? It got very boring to me. It got very slow and I had to have an audiobook to finish it. The best part about this book was the epilogue. The epilogue raised it half a star rating for me because I thought the epilogue was so good and it shocked me. So if you read this book, make sure to read the epilogue. It like really threw me for a loop, and I was just really impressed with the epilogue. Probably one of the best epilogues I've ever read, honestly. Like it just shocked me so much because the book itself was so boring. So to read something in 2 pages that shocked me so much more than this whole book gave me, it was a good epilogue. So anyway, yeah, this was a 3-star for me. It didn't make me cry. There was one thing that kind of made me tear up a little bit, but overall, yeah, I didn't cry that much. Like, it wasn't that sad. But the epilogue was so good. Okay, so the next book I read was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I've had this book for so long, and the cover is so beautiful, and I have been wanting to read this book for so long. Went into it kind of having an idea of what it was gonna be about, because Archer's Voice, just from the title, I was like, okay, did this guy lose his ability to talk somehow? You know, what's going on? So it's about these characters named Archer Hale and Bree. It's pretty much known in the beginning of the book what happened to Bree. She moved to this small town after losing her father, and she had like some kind of traumatic event happen to her, and she decides to just get away. And then throughout like her journey of starting a new life for herself in this small town of Pelion, Maine, she meets Archer. So the way they meet, she like bumps into him and she tries to talk to him and he doesn't say anything. And she's like, okay, like he's kind of rude, I guess. And obviously she notices how attractive he is and blah, blah, blah. One of the things that I really loved about this book is that it touches on a topic that I haven't read about. Really enjoyed that. And it made the romance between Archer and Bree like so good and so pure, and I loved reading about them. Like they were just so good, and the story was intriguing. There's like a little bit of a mystery going on in here, and I really enjoyed that. And I just loved the relationship between Archer and Bree. And I loved the small town feel that we got throughout this book. The story was just so good. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I literally don't know why I put off this book for so long. But it was just such a good read, and it was interesting the whole way through. I never felt like it was slow, and I love this book, and obviously this book was a 5 stars for me. I just love Mia Sheridan. Really just touched on this topic that I haven't read about in a book yet, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was really good. I don't know if I want to read Travis. Travis is so mean, so why would I want to read about him? This book at the end, it shook me for a minute there. And also another thing I really like about this book, it is one book, one and done book. It is not a series. You can read this and be done with it. And yeah, it was so good. And it really touches on grief and trauma and just Bree and Archer healing together through like their journey. And it was so good. I really enjoyed that book. I feel like a lot of people really enjoyed this book, but I really didn't. So The Storied Life of AJ Fickery. I read this for a video, reading booktubers 5-star reads. This is Haley Pham's 5-star reads. I gave this a 3, but literally I don't even think about this book at all. This is just about AJ Fickery and his life. So on the back of the book, it talks about how AJ finds a 2-year-old at his doorstep, and it kind of goes from there. So I kind of thought this whole book was gonna be about like AJ and like him finding this 2-year-old and kind of the mystery behind that. And it is, but also like it's literally the story of his life. So this story is told like through like years and years. And like, while that's okay, I just didn't really like that, because I felt like at that point we were skipping on some important parts. And there was like one part in this book that was like really important for AJ to decide. Like a really important decision for AJ to do in this book, right? But it was told in like 2 sentences. And I had to read it over again, and I was like, why did the author like zoom by that so fast? Like, I don't know why. I just kind of thought it should take more than 2 sentences to explain that part of the book. And at that point, I was just kind of disappointed. And I don't know. I didn't feel a connection to the characters, so maybe that's why. I guess this is considered a very character-driven book. I don't know. I just didn't find myself really wanting to pick this up, and maybe that's because this is more of a literary fiction. There is a small romance subplot in here. It's really not that much. I mean, the ending was good. It was interesting. I didn't expect the ending to happen like that, and that really caught me for a loop. But overall, I mean, I didn't really enjoy this book that much. The part where we find out more about Maya and why she was like dropped off at the bookstore, that part was interesting. But everything else, I just didn't really find that interesting. So this was just a 3-star for me. Like, it was all right. It just wasn't my favorite. I'm sorry if you guys love that book. I just didn't really like it. So the next book I read was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. So I've read a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books. I think I've read almost all of them besides Love Theoretically. I really like this book. Like, I thought it was really good. And a lot of people are like saying, I've seen a lot of people say their whole relationship is lustful. Well, what do you expect from this cover? What do you expect? And from the back, like literally they talk about how torn between loyalty and an undeniable attraction. Their affair is secret. It's literally known that they have, like, it's on the back of the book that they're gonna be lustful. And this looks pretty lustful to me. So that part of it didn't really bother me. If anything, I was expecting a lot of spice in this book, and that's okay. I don't mind reading spice. And if this book is literally gonna be about spice, that's what I expect, okay? I listened to the audiobook of this for the majority of the time, and the dude's voice did not have to go so hard. His voice was so... His voice. You guys need to just listen to a little bit of Eli's point of view. This is dual POV. The girl's voice was very like monotone, but that's okay because that is Rue's character. But Eli's voice, it is like so deep. I think maybe I would put this above Love on the Brain. So right now it's The Love Hypothesis, Not in Love, Love on the Brain, and then Bride probably. I still need to read Love Theoretically, but I really like this book. I liked the characters' dynamic. I thought it was a fast-paced read. I didn't find myself bored. Ali Hazelwood's writing is so easy, and I just really enjoyed the story. So Rue, she doesn't really do relationships, so she contacts people to have one-night stands with them, basically. So she meets up with this one guy. I think she meets up with this one guy, and then Eli comes and like helps her or something. I read this so long ago. So Eli comes and like saves her, and then they end up having a conversation. And then they both instantly just like had this connection, and they were both very attracted to each other. And then they didn't end up like doing anything. He just dropped her off at his apartment. He was being very much a gentleman. And then he's like, okay, well, I'll see you later. And she kisses him. And then when they kiss, they just talked about how they had this initial like spark, and they just felt something. And ever since then, he could not stop thinking about her. She couldn't stop thinking about him. And then the next day she goes to work, and then there's this other company trying to take over her company or something. She sees these 3 guys walk in, and then she notices that one of the guys is him. So then it's like really awkward because obviously they have to like kind of work together, but also kind of deny their chemistry or whatever, trying to not think about each other in that way, trying to be professional and stuff. So it's kind of like a workplace romance, and then trying to like not be together and all that stuff. And obviously Ali Hazelwood always puts a little bit of a mystery in her books. Like, not even a mystery, just like someone's doing something and they got to figure out what's going on, kind of like who's behind something. Literally a mystery. I just described a mystery to you. So the next book that I read was really random. It was not a part of my TBR, but I just felt like reading it. So I just decided, why not read it? I mostly listen to it though. I decided to listen to Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I absolutely loved Caraval. I love the setting. I love the characters. I love everything about it, and I never thought that I would like a book like that because it's very like, it's like dark. It's like a dark Alice in Wonderland vibe with like a carnival. And I am just so shocked that I like a book like that. And this is the second book in the series. I can't get into too much about what this is about without spoiling the first book. So if you haven't read Caraval, definitely go and read it because this was a 5-star for me. So the first book kind of follows our main character, Scarlet. And obviously, you probably know this, Scarlet has a sister named Donatella. They're so excited about the carnival Caraval that comes around every year. And you have to like be invited to play or be in it by the Grandmaster Legend. And they were, but then Scarlet realizes that the game is finding her sister Donatella. So through the first book, you're kind of following Scarlet's point of view, and then she has to find Donatella. And in this book, it's talking about the next event, and this book is Donatella's point of view throughout the book. I really like Donatella, and I really liked following her through this next game, and it was so interesting. And now like I'm so excited to read finale because this kind of ended off on a cliffhanger, and I love the romance that was involved for Donatella. And that was so interesting. If you've read it, the thing with the cards and stuff and the fates, it was so cool. And then obviously I wanted to for sure finish this series first, and I'm so glad I did because in this book you get introduced to Jax, which is the Prince of Hearts, and that's one of the main characters in Once Upon a Broken Heart. So when his character popped up, I literally was like, oh my god, there he is. 5 stars. So far both books are 5 stars. I really hope that finale, the third book in the series, is the exact same rating. I just love the series so much, and I know a lot of people think it's mid, but I think it's great. It is so good. I love the world building in this. I love how Stephanie Garber paints. She paints the picture so well of the whole world and the whole like carnival and like the characters. Oh my gosh, I just love it all, and I love her writing so much. And if people really love Once Upon a Broken Heart more than Caraval, I really wonder what I'll think of it, because I already love this so much, so I can't imagine how much better Once Upon a Broken Heart is gonna be. Literally, he's been quiet, and then like I have 2 books left and he's whining. Okay, I'll try to get through these as quick as I can. So the next book I read was Maybe This Time by Casey West. I know not a lot of people talk about Casey West, but I really love Casey West. I've been reading her books for a very long time. The Fill-In Boyfriend by her kind of started me getting back into reading way before I started booktube. I've had this book for a long time and I have been meaning to read this, but I never felt like I just wanted to yet. But this book follows a girl named Sophie. She works at the flower shop, and her job basically is to create bouquets and just do flowers for all these different events. So this story takes place in 1 year and 9 events. So the way it does it is each chapter or something, basically, maybe not each chapter, but there's a different event each time. So the first event is Valentine's Day retirement home dinner, for example, and it tells you what flowers she's putting up and things like that. Like I said, literally there's nothing in between. The story only takes place in the events. So there's always an event going on. And basically what happens is she meets the chef's son. He is entitled and he is arrogant, and his dad is also like a famous chef. He was very well known. And so they both tend to be kind of stuck up in a way. So the first time Andrew and Sophie meet, they meet and they're kind of like mean to each other. They have that banter, and that's fine. And at first I thought that was cute and all, but literally it got to a point where they were just mean to each other. There's a difference between banter and just full on bullying each other. I didn't see any chemistry between the two, like honestly, throughout this whole book. I didn't know how they they were gonna suddenly get together and suddenly be okay with each other. Her friend Micah had way more chemistry with Andrew to me. It's like at first you're kind of like rooting for her because you're always gonna root for the main character, right? And then I was like, wow, Sophie's kind of mean. And I think the author did intend it to be that way, but I just really didn't like the forced relationship between Andrew and Sophie. So much throughout the book, they're like mean to each other, and then suddenly they're up against a shed kissing. And then it's like, where did that come from? Like, I know enemies to lovers, sometimes you have like this lust for each other, but this really fell out of pocket to me. And it sucks because like I really love Casey West books. I love the setting of this. I love the idea of it taking place in a year with 9 events and they're always seeing each other at these specific events. And I love that idea. I loved that concept, but the romance in this was just really not for me. I rated this a 3 because I still really like the setting and I like the writing. Her writing is very fast paced. Nothing really felt boring, really. There's always something going on. It never really felt slow. It's just the relationship dynamic between the two main characters was just not it for me, honestly. You know, obviously they get together at the end, but I'm like, they're not gonna stay together. They're gonna stay together for like a week, honestly, and it's just not gonna work. And then the last book I read was a book that was also in a reading vlog. I read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I read this for Reading Booktuber's 5-star reads. So if you guys wanna see my reaction to the end of this book, be sure to check out that video because I had a very visual reaction to the end of this book. And I was so nervous for so long to get into this book because I know it's a toxic romance. We all know BJ Valentine and Magnolia Parks, they hurt each other so much. But I loved this book like so much. I gave it a 4.5 stars. It got so close to a 5. So this book, Magnolia Parks and BJ, they are both like these really famous London socialites. Everyone knows who they are. Like, I didn't expect them to be as popular as they are. Literally, there's paparazzi following them around and everyone knows about their relationship and how they broke up. And I didn't even know in this book, like, they were dating. I went into this book completely blind. I talked more about it in my Booktubers Reading 5-star reads vlog, so I don't want to get like too much into it. And also the sun is going down, so I kind of want to like wrap this up. But I love this book so much. I loved Jessa Hastings' writing. A lot of people say that her writing is very lyrical and beautiful, and I have to agree. Like the quotes that are in this book, like for example, I always use this one as an example, cut me and I bleed him. That quote just describes how much Magnolia just loves BJ and literally would like do anything for him in a sense. And it's crazy how much they hurt each other, and the ending, I don't know, why did he do that? Like, oh my gosh, it really shocked me. I really liked it, and I'm surprised. I like this book a lot more than I thought I would. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I read another book last month, and it was The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden. It's the next book in the Housemaid series. I really liked it. I obviously didn't like it as much as the first Housemaid book, but I liked how we got to follow the character Millie again. I loved following this new set of characters because obviously she's not helping the couple from the first book. I thought the lady, I already forgot her name. Like, I really love the book, but I read this so long ago, but I thought the storyline was really good. Obviously very fast paced, very interesting. There was a few plot twists that I really did enjoy. And I still really enjoy Freida McFadden's writing. I know for some people, she's kind of like a hit or miss. Oh, don't look at the bleach stain, don't look at it. Just thinking about that book again was just absolutely insane. Like, the wife in that book was, I don't know, I feel like she was more secretive than the wife in the first one, but I could be like way wrong. It was just really interesting, and I love that. And I know that they're turning The Housemaid into a movie or something. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the casting. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. It's just, I can't picture Sydney Sweeney as the maid, assuming she's the maid. I can't picture her as Millie. Like, I think I know why they chose her, but like, I can't see that. I don't know. Those are all the books I read in August. I actually got quite a bit done. It's actually kind of insane. Well, besides the DNF at the bottom here. And I'm so sorry for being so late on this. I'm excited to film more content for you guys, and I'm finally getting back into the groove of things after feeling like crap for a while. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I